Hello. Today is Thursday, April 23rd, and this is e-learning PD. And this is all about Canvas quizzes and how can you use those to auto-magically grade for you to help you out in the classroom. I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording until we get some participants in. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming this morning to Canvas quizzes for daily exit slips. The goal for this session is to help you. That way then you have less to grade. That's the goal. I see the thumbs up. That's what I'm hoping. So I want to help walk the journey with you in e-learning today. And hopefully we're going to walk away with some awesome new skills. And remember that if at anything, if you have more questions, you can always raise your hand. If you come across some questions later on as you are working throughout the course of e-learning, you are always more than welcome to email me. My name is Kara Ripp. I'm the only Ripp, R-I-P-P, in the district, like you rip a piece of paper, but with two P's. So I am excited. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to right now take over your screen and you're going to be able to see my screen. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen. And just quickly, those of you that I can see your beautiful faces, can you give me a thumbs up? Are you able to see my Canvas dashboard? Excellent, thank you. All right, so to get started, we're going to be talking about quizzes. Quizzes is, I would say, one of the best tools that's not necessarily always used a lot when thinking about how to collect student information quickly for daily use. A lot of times we're using the assignments, but today we're going to be talking a lot about quizzes. I'm going to go ahead and go into my course for today. And today I want to kind of bring up a little red flag moment. We normally, and this is what I always encourage for our teachers, is to build within the module section. You'll notice that my homepage is the modules because that's always where I want teachers to go, my students to go when they're accessing their content. But today for our work, because we're going to be using the quizzes feature and there's a new quizzes feature, the only way to access the new quizzes is to work over here in the white toolbar in the quizzes. And then at the end of our session, I will show you how to take that new quizzes that we are making and how to then go and put it into your module. So don't fret. Don't be like, oh no, I have to open up the quizzes. You can still keep your quizzes hidden and you can still pull it over to your modules. It's just a little bit different. And we'll go through talking about that process. But for our time together, we're going to be looking at quizzes. And right away, you're going to see that I have a few quizzes in my course. And to create a new quiz, I go to the blue plus sign that says plus a quiz. It's how to add a quiz. You'll see that I get this pop-up window. It says, what do you want to do? Do you want to create classic quizzes, which is, there's nothing wrong with classic quizzes, but I'm going to be focusing our time today in the new quizzes because there's a lot of really neat tools that are now available. And I want to make sure that I share those with you. For those of you that are like, gosh, well, what's the difference, Kara? I have here, and I'm going to share this in our chat feature. This is our, let me share it, go to chat, let's go to everyone. There we go, there is our chat. This is a great comparison. And you can see right here from Canvas that we get in this new quizzes feature, we get some new question types. We can get the categorization question, which we'll go over how to do that. But you'll notice that a lot of these are similar or the same. And then we have some added ones like an ordering and a hotspot, which I think you're really going to like a lot. I will also say that if you are a question bank user, if you've used question banks in the past, know that at this time, there is no way to take your old content from your old question banks and migrate those over to the new question banks directly. Now, I will be showing at the end a trick that you can use to migrate an old quiz from classics into the new, and then you can manually upload to a new quiz bank in the new quizzes area. But right now they just haven't done that feature. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that for those of you that are some seasoned quiz users. I also want to make sure that I share with you one more little tidbit, and that's about practice quizzes. For those of you that have used practice quizzes in the past and you want to let kids do lots of practicing and not get a grade for that, the only way to do that in the new quizzes feature is to make sure that you set a big honkin' 0 points worth for the assignment. Otherwise, you'll need to do points for making your quizzes. So this is all I wanted to share for right now about the new quizzes versus classes quizzes. And I'm going to go ahead and pause real fast. Does anyone have any questions about that so far that are our seasoned friends? I'm going to stop sharing real fast. Any raised hands? No? Feeling good? Okay. Please reach out. If I don't see a raised hand, unmute yourself and say, hey, Kara, I have a question. That way, in case if I don't see the flash of a raised hand. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's get started. I'm going to share the screen back again. And here we go. So today we're going to create a new quiz, and it's going to be one of the new quizzes, just as we said. And I'm going to tap submit. I'm not going to have it remember my choice because sometimes I might want to, right now, I might want to pop back and forth. I will say that classic quizzes is going away eventually in the coming years. I think either later next year sometime, we'll begin phasing it out. So let's go ahead and let's tap submit. And it's not that we're phasing it out, it's that Canvas is as they go on and keep the new quizzes up and running. So right away, you'll notice that this looks kind of familiar for when you've created assignments. So it's got to have a name, the new quiz does. So today, we're going to do all about sandcastles. So this is my sandcastle quiz, but I want to make sure I put the date on it because if I'm looking at this from a grading standpoint, oh man, dates are really important for me for staying organized. So this is my sandcastle quiz. The point system for right now, I'm going to do 5, but hey, if I make more questions that are worth that total up more than 5, the quiz tool itself will continue to add on more points. So don't fret about, gosh, I don't know how many points I want at this time. Right now, I'm not going to put it into an assigned group. I'm going to keep it into my assignments. And that's important so that you can, when you are importing this in from modules, you can find it later. So by default, it goes to the assignments and we'll be able to find that. I'm going to display the grade as points. And external tools, I'm going to ask that you not mess with any of those. That will probably be like a Quizzes 2.0 lesson where if you wanted to use an outside tool, an LTI tool, this is where you could do that. And it can it'll do the auto grading using that outside tool as well and link into the assignment for you. Right now, I have set to allow my kiddos, my students that will be taking this quiz, to allow unlimited attempts, but you might say limited. And if you do, how many times do you want to allow them to take that quiz? That's kind of up to you. I will say this, that I've talked to several other ed tech coaches, and we've had some parents request some help, and teachers ask, well, how do I? Because a student might have went ahead and took the quiz before they ever did the actual work. They didn't understand that it only allowed them one attempt. So that's something to keep in mind as you are developing, just keeping that aware in your mind as you select what is appropriate for you and what fits your needs. Right now, I'm going to assign this to everyone in my course, but remember, this is where you can personalize. You can assign this quiz to certain kids and then give them a different due date and availability. For mine, I'm just going to make mine due tomorrow. I'm going to open it up though for today, and then I'm going to close it because, gosh, someone might get sick. So I'm going to close it though at the end of the school year. And if I wanted to add a different assignment, so if I typed in individual student names, I could. And this is where I could add then other assignments this way as well. But we'll keep this for everyone for right now. All right, so when I'm done, this is just the first kind of shell, the first layer of our quiz. I need to actually build the quiz. So now let's tap save and we'll move on. Once it's done building, it's going to load, and this is going to look a little bit different for those of you that are used to using classic quizzes. This now feels more like a Google form. Those of you, give me a thumbs up, those of you that have used Google Forms before. Yeah, I see some thumbs, excellent. So this builds like in that Lego modular sense, where I'm going to be adding with the plus sign and I can rearrange as needed. You'll notice that right here is my title, and then I get to add some instructions to my students. I think this is one of the places where you can prevent having kids pop in and out and going to access a lot of things. You can directly put content in right here within the quiz directions. So if you have that already published, let's say maybe you have a YouTube video that you want your kiddos to view, and you know that you've got that embed code and you're ready to get that for them. So I'm going to go ahead and go to YouTube here real fast. I'm going to grab the embed code. I'm going to push pause though, because I don't want it to play for you. And here's my YouTube video that I have. And I want to embed. So I'm going to tap the share button here. I'm going to tap the embed because I want my kids to watch my sandcastle video before they take my quiz. So I'm going to tap copy, and then I'm going to simply embed my. So I'm coming back over here and let's embed. So I'm going to, oh, I always click the wrong thing first. All right, so I'm going to tap it looks like a little movie film strip here with the play button. I'm going to tap embed, and then I'm going to paste in my embed code. I'm going to tap OK, and I can see that Canvas auto-generated that little preview there for me. And then let's say perhaps I also have a slideshow of lecture notes maybe that I have my students that I want them to also grab, and I want to put this inside, inside the quiz, inside the rich content editor. If I already have my lecture notes already made, I can change those share link settings so that anyone with the link can view. I can come over here to File. I can go ahead and I can publish this to the web. And when I do, I want to grab my embed code here. And I want to make sure that it starts as soon as it loads, and I want for it to just keep looping and going. And then I tap the publish button. Mine's already published. So then I'm going to highlight my content here and copy it. Once I get that embed code, I'm going to come back over to my sandcastle. And once again, I can embed, paste in my Google Slides now, and now I've got this Google slide that's embedded. If you're like, gosh, Kara, that's pretty slick. You can also, though, you want to include your directions. So make sure that you're asking the kids and be precise. Please watch today's video and read our lecture notes. Now, granted, you wouldn't, you'd provide some more information, but whatever material it is that you're asking them to read, look over our Google Slides, then take today's quiz. And then when I tap done, I can see right away that my content is here. Oh, my video. Oh, I deleted my video. Oh, Kara. Let me insert that one more time. I love when things disappear. It keeps me on my toes a little bit. And hopefully it gives you a little bit of, come on, push pause. There we go. Loop. When pause, share, embed. All right, let's copy that iframe. And then we're going to jump into our There it goes. And now we're ready to jump in to today's questions. To add questions, it's as simple as adding the plus sign. You'll notice over here on the right that I have an extra toolbar, and this is our quiz navigation toolbar. Right now I have 0 questions, and this is going to grow just like as a slideshow has a little thumbnail view. This is going to grow with our thumbnail view as well as we add more questions. Up here along the top is the build section. That's the tab that we're working in right now. There is a settings section as well. And this is where you can always by default shuffle questions if that was really important to you, especially if you were in the classroom and you had kids, you had students taking this quiz. But if they're at home, I'm not quite sure how important shuffling the questions really would be at that point for you. But you can shuffle the answers so that it's always kind of twisting around so that those that are going back to retake the test don't always select always the first one, the first one, the first one. You can also select, do you want to allow students to see one question at a time or not? This is kind of nice so that they're only focused at one, but then do you want to allow backtracking? That's kind of up to you if you want to allow that as well. Requiring an access code, this is really more of if you were teaching in at school and you wanted to kind of protect so that as the kids come to you to tap the quiz, you gave them the access code. It kind of unlocks it so that they can actually get in and do it versus anyone can take it at any time and they can take it while they're in their homeroom or wherever they're at, and then they could cheat. So this is kind of a way to, for security's sake. You can do a time limit. Not really my recommendation, but if you had to, you could. You could filter out IP addresses and use school IP addresses so that they didn't take the quiz at home. But since we are all doing e-learning, not really fitting for right now. You could say allow a calculator. So if your students didn't have access to a calculator, but you needed them to, you can do that. Or you can allow calculator. Notice how you can do basic or scientific. You can make that so that it's only certain questions. So I'm going to keep that off right now, and I'll show you how to turn that on when we get to one of those question features. You can allow multiple attempts as well, just as before. And notice how you can say keep the highest score, the latest, or the average. So if you do allow unlimited, you have some choices as an educator in that. So if I just said taking the average, then how many attempts do I want them? So, well, I'll give you, I'll give you 3 attempts and I'll take the average of what you did. So you have some flexibility there as the educator. Notice how you can also require wait time. So if they bomb it and, you want them to be able to go back, you can say, you know what? You have 1 hour in between each attempt because I want you to go back and relearn it. So once again, you can differentiate and slow down and adds a little bit of pacing to the attempts of what your students are doing here within the quizzes. And then you can also restrict their student results. I will say that I like this. I like being able to, so that kids can see their points awarded, but I'm not really a big fan of the points possible. And here's the reason why. Points possible gives them like this percentage pie, and then it kind of, I don't know, it doesn't, from my perspective as an elementary educator, it doesn't give me all the feel goods. But when I see how many I got, I'm like, yes, I did get at least 5. But this is more of your preference. I will say that you can show items. So I like the fact that students can see their own response. I like so that they can use this as an exit slip and get feedback right away. So I like them to be able to show and see their own response, but I also like for them to see, well, what was the correct answer? So that might be helpful, especially if, you're only allowing them to take this one time and then, oh, look, oh, that's what it was. Okay. So you have some variance and options there. Notice how you can show the answer with their incorrect spots, which I like. I like that. And then you can also show feedback. And this is a feature for those of you that have never used quizzes before. You can add little bits of feedback into each element and an option within a quiz. And there's always more, it depends on your kids. Would you like for them reading lots of things or not? The show the feedback might be helpful if you allow unlimited use, especially if this is going to be used as a quiz, like a review feature, so that you can, like, if they select the wrong answer, it might go, oh, it might go, great try, but remember in the video, the author talked about, and so you can give them a hint to try it again and get a different answer. So the feedback is nice, but you have to do all of that. So right now I'm going to kind of keep all of that there. And then notice how there is a reports tab, and you can see an item analysis, which there's nothing there for us to look at. And then I can also look at the outcomes if I had this linked to my outcomes within my course, and I was looking at learning mastery. I can also moderate, and I will say this is fantastic when you think about ways to differentiate even more. I can moderate, so even though I've gone out and I've given everyone, it's all or nothing, but maybe I have a few students that I want to allow them additional attempts. So maybe, you want that all or nothing because you want it to feel definite, and it's that exit slip and walking out, and that's that feedback. But then you might have that kid who, they took the quiz without ever doing learning and reading and watching your videos. You can give them an additional attempt if you need to. And you can give them additional time if you had a time limit. So that's one more way that you can branch out and differentiate and help moderate for those individual students if you need to. All right, I'm going to go back to the build. I'm going to stop right there. And I'm going to unpause because I've talked a lot. I don't like talking a lot, but it's hard to do when we're in Zoom. Any questions so far, and just like all the intricacies before we start going into question types? No raised hands. All right, let's keep chugging along. Thank you so much. Thank you for the thumbs up. Makes my heart smile. I think it's the elementary teacher within. All right, let's start building away. Here we go. Let's start making some sand castles together. So we're going to tap the plus sign here at the bottom to begin building. And right away it asks, hey, what kind of content do you want? If I already have content created inside a question bank, there we go, inside of a question bank, the little piggy bank right there is my question bank. So I can always come here and I can grab and I can pull in. For right now, let's go ahead and let's just create a categorization. That's a juicy word for me to say, question type. So here we go. What does that look like? I like this for, let's say, like if my question here was, I want kids to sort. So sort the items you can use to help build a sandcastle. And here I might, for the category, it might be items that help, and then items that do not help. You'll notice, like, I'm trying to help kids, because we know that reading might not, that slowing down for critical reading, this might be new to them. So the more that I can help within print features to help slow down their reading, to help some of that critical reading, so all caps is very helpful. So items that help. So here, let's see here, a bucket and sand and water. And the things that don't help, hot dogs and rising tides, right? All right, so when I am done, notice how I can add more answers. I can even add a third category if I wanted. If I made a mistake, I can trash it, or I can trash a whole category. I can also add distractors in there as well, which this one is not going to be helpful because I have a do not. So this one's kind of like a T-chart, right? Like it's all or it's not. But if you had 3 categories, so I'm looking at you, Meredith, like maybe you were having students sort instruments, right? And you wanted to do like woodwinds and brass and percussion, then you would have those as categories, and then you go ahead and make it the way it should, and then you might throw in some distractors, right? and you might throw in something that's not a woodwind or a brass or a percussion. So you might throw in violin. So you got it, or piano. So I'll add in a few distractors down here.
What's the maximum categories? Do you know?
I do not know. That's a really good question. Haven't met that yet.
But that's what I just wrote down, instrument family categories.
Yeah.
Mm.
I will also tell you that up here in the question title, this is really important for you as a user. Like, how do you want to see this? So this might be where you relate this back to your standard. So if this relates to your like reading standard, or your music standard, whatever it is, like so it might be like a literacy standard, like 2.2.1, like point A, whatever that standard is. You might want to put that in there, because that might help you when you are going to the bank and you want to pull out. You also might want to put in there like, oh, this is about sandcastles, and maybe this one's about sorting. This is really more for you than for students. And I see an excellent hand raised. I'll get to your question in just a moment. Um, Notice how I don't need a calculator for this one. I can align it to my outcomes. So if I had outcomes within my course, I can grab. So if you are using that learning mastery in your grade cards, you can find that, oh, this goes with, story structure. Then I can check it and apply it. But if you aren't using that feature, then, you don't have to connect it to there. Item banking is really important. I think that it is smart to bank and collect. So I'm going to make sure that everything for this question is the way I want it. And then I'm going to tap item banking, and I want to add everything that I make, I want to add to a bank so that I'm saving myself in the future, so that next year, or when I'm doing the review, or when I'm making the final, I can go back and reuse some of these questions I've worked so hard to build. So you can add this to an existing bank, or I can create a new bank. So I can say this is the #1 sandcastle bank. And I can add that to it. And it automatically put it in there. Now, right now, it looks like, oh, dang, it's not going to sort, right, Kara? But it will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to preview. This is probably one of the most helpful tools for you, is the preview. What is it going to look like for the student? So when you're in this student view, you'll see that, oh, look, students see, oh, watch today's video, they can do all that. And then there's what the quiz is going to look like. When they say take the quiz, it's going to launch them and they can see, oh, and you can physically do this. So you can start dragging, and I'm going to purposely put one in the, all right. And notice how I can sort instead of drag. So I can click on it and it can move me as well. So, all right. I will say that because this one is all or nothing, the violin's going to be counted wrong because it was used as a distractor. So be careful with, if you are like, oh, well, I'm going to add distractors. Well, this one's all or nothing for the grading. All right. I'm going to tap submit. And now, as a student, this is the part that I love. When we think about ease in our e-learning, ways for that daily exit slip that it's going to automatically grade, this question grades itself. And students get the feedback right there because I allowed it. So right there, they can see what it is, and then they're like, oh, okay. And then if you allowed to retake it again, they can. So right now, I'm going to, before I take that question, Shelly, I'm going to show you, I just want to go through what are the question types that allow for that auto magic grading. And then in our remaining time, we can look at, I think that you would really like to see hotspot, because that's a new feature. And that one's, I think, is going to be really handy. And then I also want to share stimulus and why you might like stimulus as well. So file upload is a no-go on Automagic grading. So if you're thinking of ease of use to make it an exit slip for you, don't use file upload unless you want to manually go back and grade that. So it'll auto grade the rest, and then the part that you need to grade, you have to go in there physically and go grade that. The formula, it does auto grade. Matching, auto grades. Multiple choice, auto grades. Ordering, auto grades. The essay does not. Makes sense, right? Because you have to read and kind of give that more critical feedback. Fill in the blank does auto grade. Hotspot auto grades. Multiple answer does auto grade. Numeric auto grades. I like numeric for mathematical answers a little bit more than the formula. Formula for me is, I'm really clumsy using it. I'm not an expert in that. And then true false auto grades as well. Okay. All right. I'm going to pause right there. And I want to take Shelly's hand, and Shelly, you haven't been to any of my Zooms yet, but I air high five. So I'm going to air high five you. Hiya! And I'm going to lower your hand. What is your question, friend?
Good morning. I'm wondering, for some of our younger learners, when you did categorization, if you could do pictures and they could do a picture sort, or is it only text?
Let's check that out. Here we go. So when we are in the categorization, we tap answer. It is only giving us a text option right now only.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if you, Kara, what if you copy a picture on your clipboard and then you paste in that? What happens?
Let's try.
Like even just the links. Yeah, go to your picture. You're good.
So here's my sandcastle. I can copy it and paste. No.
Okay, thank you for trying.
No. Yeah, no, good question. Good question. I do wonder though, if we did, instead of a categorization, what might be better for that? Did ordering?
What about hotspot, Kara? Would that work for sorting?
That was my next one too. That's a good idea too. So on sorting, on hotspot, it only allows you to click one. So it's not going to let you drag and manipulate at this time. Yeah.
Move the question a little bit backwards. So you use the picture in the question, and then they would click the word that matches.
That's true.
That's what I would think. Like with my young kids, if I said I put a picture of an instrument, and then I could say what instrument is this, or I could say what family does this instrument belong to.
Mm-hmm. That's true, because in the
question allows images.
You got it. You've got a rich text editor field here, and you can upload and you can put your picture there. Yeah. Well, not paste
That might
in,
actually
but
tie the reading into the picture.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good idea. Good. All right. Any other really good, those are great ideas. Any other good ideas? No? These are great. I love hearing the questions too. All right. Let's go ahead, and we are going to look at two more items that I think they're just new. They lend themselves to just being so different. So I'm going to look at Hotspot right now. And once again, in Hotspot, just like we did up here before, it's important to understand your questioning. So this one, I know this goes with my sandcastle unit that we're doing. And this one is going to be Hotspot. And I want this to be about, well, I don't need to say hotspot. I need to say sandcastle making tools. So in my question, I'm going to ask, select the tool that is called a bucket. So just like what Meredith was saying about the instrument, so this one, I'm going to go ahead and grab the image that I need. There's my image. And once I have my image uploaded, I need to select what is the right one and within the parameters. So you get a square, so you can draw the hotspot with the square, or you can draw it with an oval. So if it was a round shape, you could, but notice how that excludes this area. So if a student taps within that other area, it's not going to count it correct. Or I can draw my own polygon. So I will say that I can connect, like I can make it. This is really nice, especially if you were thinking about countries. So if you were having kids identify, like tap where this is on a map, or if you had an animal diagram and you had maybe organs and you had to outline the shape of an organ and you asked, you know, select which organ is the heart, then you would want to use the polygon feature. So for my purposes right now, I'm just going to use the square, just kind of keep it a little simple for us here. And now I have some hotspot options. So within options, I can say, show the on-screen calculator. Do I want that? No, that makes silly. So I can once again align with the outcome. Notice how in all of these, I could up the ante on point level. So do I want this worth 1 point or none? And then down here, I could also, this is where feedback, this was in the previous question as well. So if a kiddo taps in the wrong spot, I can give them feedback. So for a correct answer, I can say, I don't know, that's correct. I wanted to say like Tony the Tiger, like that's great. But I don't know, you do your
Wowza.
own. Wowzas. And then for incorrect, it might be try again. And maybe just do it period instead of exclamation. I don't want to be shouty on that. And then general feedback regardless of an answer. Why don't I do pick a tool, please? So I'm going to tap done. So I've got all of that there. I've got this labeled. Now I'm going to make sure I add this to my bank. So I'm going to tap item banking. Don't forget to item bank. I can't say this enough. Add it there, add it there. So I already have the existing bank. This time it's our #1 Sandcastle bank. Tap add. It's there. Let's see what it looks like for students. Here we go. I'm going to go back up to preview. Oh, the error. All right. So I'm going to come down here and see. Oh, here's what a kiddo sees. Right now I'm scrolling because I don't have it so that you see one question at a time. Remember how I didn't have that check marked? So for a kiddo, oh, they click here, or oh, they click here. So they need to click one of the spots. So if I click the wrong spot, let's see what that looks like. Ready? I think that's a bucket. Tap submit. I'm going to tap submit, even though I didn't take the other part of the quiz. I got the little, and then notice how I got the wrong, oh, look, here's my feedback. Okay. All right. I'm going to tap exit. I'm going to show one more item here. And I think this is the part to me that makes this new quizzes feature. Not only I love the hotspot and I love the categorization feature, I really love this stimulus part. So I'm going to tap stimulus for our next question. And in this one, I'm going to have a sand castle article from Wanderopolis. Now, in my instructions, I'm going to say, please read today's article. You can click here to view it as a PDF and use your iPad to read to you, or use the in the quiz or use the viewer below. There we go. Now, why did I just do that? In a normal quiz, I would say don't send kids out, but I wanted to show you a little bit of a way to help for accommodations for kiddos who might need to use a reader on their iPad. When we are uploading this, you can only upload a video, or you have to manually type the text below, okay? You cannot insert a PDF here. You have to insert an image. And so I'm going to go ahead and browse. I went ahead and I created, I'm going to open your Sandcastle page 1. And I'll show you the difference here in the preview. It makes more sense. But I'm going to go ahead and get my pages here. Page 2. And all right, 2 pages are enough. I'm going to go ahead and you can, I don't like saying click here. It's just really not ADA nice. So you can view it as a PDF, and I might do like kind of in parentheses, Sand Castle article. My mind's always thinking about our kids who might be using, you know, those assistive technologies. So you can use it as a PDF and use your iPad to read it, or you can use it in the below. All right, so I want to copy this, copy, and I'm going to come right here. So I've got the image, but I'm going to return and go up above and paste in and say you can view it as a PDF or read below. And then right here is where I'm going to insert that link. So I'm going to link, and I'm going to make it my PDF. And in my Google Drive, I went ahead and I have that PDF made, and I've already got my share settings already changed so that anyone with the link can view. I'm going to go ahead and paste in that URL. I'm going to make the title the same. Open in a new tab is really important. It gets stalled and it comes up as an error if you say none. I found out last night it does not like that. So new tab is preferred. All right, so I'm going to say okay. And I've got now all of that. And I'm going to say once again, add item to banking. I'm going to add it to my bank, add it there. And you can see right now, this is the half, but now I get to attach a question. So my kids can read a text over here, and then they can scroll. So you can build a whole lot of questions over here while they're reading. I love that part. So this now looks like our standardized tests that our kiddos take when they're taking from the state. So I'm going to attach a question, and for our sake right now, I'm going to go to the piggy bank, and I'm going to add from a previous one, I'm going to add in a multiple choice question that I had already had. And I'm just going to tap the plus sign, and that added it over there as well. And I'm going to close out. And you can see that it added my question. I can continue to add more questions here. And so I see a question, a hand raised. I'll take that question in just a moment. Let's see what a kiddo sees. So I'm going to go to preview. And now they can read, or if they tap that link, it will take them to that PDF and it can read to them, okay? I found out last night, and even in the previous days, there is no way to make this image read to you because it's an image, it's static. And I could not, out of my heart of hearts, figure out a way to embed that PDF inside there and still keep it easily within a viewer and made it friendly for people and students. So this was my best option, so that if you had kiddos that needed it to be read to them, this was the best option for that. Even if they had their iPad set to speak to them within the viewer, because this is an image, it will not be able to read to them. But notice how they can take the quiz here. So sandcastles are temporary art forms because, so I said get washed away, and then they can submit. Once again, you didn't do everything else. It's okay. And then they have that instantaneous feedback, which I love. All right, I'm going to exit the preview. I want to, because our time is running short, I'll take the question in just a moment. I want to show you how do you pull this back over to modules so that then kids can see it. This is really important. So I'm going to tap return since I'm done building. And I can see that my sandcastle is here. I'm going to go ahead and publish it. And I'm going to hop back over to modules. And I'm going to hop into my module for today. I'm going to tap plus to add to my module, and it is in the assignments. If I scroll down, I can see that it says 423 Sandcastle quiz. So now I can add that item, and it is ready to rock and roll. So when my kids come in, my students come in here, they come in and they see that it's there. Now what's curious is that it shows up as a little quiz with a rocket ship here, right? That says, ooh, it's a quiz. But look what it looks like when you see it. So I'm going to tap leave student view. On your end, because you have it in, it's within your assignments, technically after you're done, it saved it, it published it over. It was temporarily there, still an assignment, like a little pencil, but then as soon as like we left and we came back, it refreshed and turned into a quiz. So yay.